Senators moved to prevent Trump from removing U.S. troops in South Korea. A pair of Senate Democrats introduced a bill on Wednesday that would prevent President Donald Trump from unilaterally drawing down the American troop presence on the Korean Peninsula, not necessarily because he said he will, but because they don't want to rely on his word that he won't. Other measures that also tie the president's hands but don't go as far are already closer to being passed as part of an essential military policy bill.
Wait a minute. Are these the same Democrats who said, we can't have Trump in office? He in North Korea would start World War III.
Yeah.
Are you the same Democrats?
So
and now he's like, okay, let's stop military exercises and let's withdraw troops from that. Because I'm sure they didn't say the entire country of South Korea, just the DMZ, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically a freeze for freeze issue. Yeah. And this is nothing new, first of all. Trump didn't invent this.
Yeah.
North Korea has offered this before. They've had similar agreements before. Now, has North Korea...
Well, no, they didn't sign anything.
They didn't sign anything. It was a verbal agreement. But it's nothing new. Like it's not some groundbreaking piece of like, oh, Trump came up with this unique deal. It's like, oh, this is a deal that's been talked about. And the fact that they're talking about it, it's totally fair.
Like, now, hey, can you not have guns in my house, please? Yeah, I think that's cool. Whatever. That's fine. Can you not have guns?
How about you take the guns out of my house and I'll stop making bombs in my basement?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair.
Like a metaphorical, that's what's going on. If you start walking around with guns surrounding my house, I'll stop making these bombs in the basement.
It's like Israel, Palestine. It's like, hey, can you stop having snipers point at me and maybe I'll stop rolling tires at your fence, I guess. You know, I think that's a pretty fair compromise. People have to remember what side of the negotiating fence we're on. Even when it comes to North Korea, they're like, Kim Jong-un is an evil dictator. I would say that he is a dictator. I can't really say for sure because of propaganda purposes how evil or not evil he is, but I can say 100% positively, we've killed more people than Kim Jong-un by far, not even fucking close. Not even close. We killed just 1 million innocent people in Iraq, maybe 1,000 terrorists. Millions of innocent people.
It all depends on what lens you look through, certainly. But the thing here is the idea of preventing war is a good thing, even if you don't like the players involved. I don't like Kim Jong-un. I don't like Donald Trump. But, you know, I have no power in regards to they're both nation leaders. It's unfortunate that's the case, but that is the case. So where do we go from there? Well, if they don't go to war, if they have these talks, which is a huge step, it doesn't matter that you don't like Donald Trump. That really doesn't matter.
And I was going to actually tell you that I heard you say that before, and thank you for saying that, because there's so many people who they don't care if it could bring the end to millions of starving North Koreans. They don't care. You know, and that's, for me, that's like a really personal thing, because I've been a huge part of the Korean culture for some time. Long story. I got a Korean flag on my arm though, and I speak Korean. I read and write Korean. But it's sad that people get so caught up in their own personal, like, vindictive, hateful, like, and not saying that some of the disdain towards Donald Trump isn't warranted, but is that more important to you? Getting to say that, yeah, I was right, he did start World War III.
Right.
You know, then making sure that people have an opportunity for the first time to be open to the Western markets and have legitimate jobs. They only speak in North Korea. A lot of people don't know this. They only speak. If they go to South Korea right now, they would only be able to understand 1/3 of that Korean language because they've been so cut off from the rest of the world.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things. If Obama did the same thing, the Democrats would be celebrating. But
you have to know about Peace Prize for being black.
Just because Trump did it, then, oh, well, this is bad, and this is, I mean, it's just political theater. If it's Obama, the laziest of political theater. Like,
there would be pictures painted of him being held by Jesus and Mufasa at the same time, like with the light shining down on him.
That's the obvious progression. It went Jesus and then the Lion King's Mufasa. That's,
only because he's from Africa.
If you ask anybody.
Yeah, but seriously, man. I mean, if Jesus was a lion, I'm almost positive he would be Mufasa.
You know, we don't know for sure that he wasn't. We don't.
That's also true. That's also true. Snoop Dogg is a lion, though. Apparently,
it goes. You know.
But yeah, man, it's frustrating, man. And you definitely are on that same team of progressive means just that. It's not a hard word to dice. It's progress. No matter where it comes from.
Anti-war. That's the biggest thing. Progressive means anti-war. If you're not anti-war, you're not progressive. So in every situation, if you're not going into it like whatever gets us closer to peace, I am all 100% for. These talks are a huge deal in preventing a conflict. Do I like the players involved in the talks? No, but that's irrelevant because whether I like it or not, they're the people in charge. So I want the most positive outcome possible.
Yeah,
and I know there's history at play where you know these talks were not followed through on. I know all that, but nonetheless, statistically speaking, historically speaking, these talks go a long way in preventing further conflict. So it's a good thing. And I don't know why you're trying to stop further diplomatic measures. So let's.
And President Moon meeting with Kim Jong-un is actually something that is historic because that's never happened. They've never crossed into each other's lands, not since the Korean War. Like no president from Korea and vice versa has crossed into each other's lands, shook hands. They really, I don't know if you saw that entire video, but it was actually emotional. It was a very emotional day for Koreans because like Kim Jong-un was legitimately smiling.
Well, the only thing I saw was their awkwardly long handshake, which I just thought was a little creepy. But you know, that was just me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that was awkward. I'm talking about when President Moon,
like a full 10 seconds, man. It was.
I'm talking about when President Moon and Kim Jong-un met for the first time. They met at each other's borders, and President Moon invited him over, and they actually held hands. And he helped him over into the South Korean border. And it was like Kim Jong-un was legitimately like warm. And he said, hold on, before we go, I want to invite you into my borders, over my borders. And so they held hands and they actually went back over to his borders before they continued the conversation.
Well, there's been other kind of symbolic acts to sort of, you know, bring about a better relationship too. Like in the one DMZ area, instead of playing propaganda, they started playing like native folk music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of as a way of making a gesture of peace. So, yeah, I mean, there's different things to kind of be optimistic about, although we don't know the full
the story about North Korea and South Korea, we'll never know the full situation.
Exactly.
Because the U.S. is involved.
Why you got to tread lightly. But so getting back to this, what is their explanation here? Let's look into this further. The new legislation, this is from Senators Chris Murphy and Tammy Duckworth. This would prevent Trump from withdrawing troops from South Korea unless the Secretary of Defense says it's in the interest of national security and that it would not undermine the security of the allies in the region. U.S. troops are not bargaining chips to be offered up in an offhanded manner. Okay.
That's a big deal.
During a summit.
Did you retweet that?
Huh?
Did you retweet that?
I retweeted the article, yeah.
Let me
all the articles we go over. During a summit with North Korean dictator. All right, so this is just a summary of what happened. I mean, all right, so looking at this big picture, I'm not entirely – I kind of see the merit in not just giving a president – like the total hearsay as far as a president can just do this. Like I'm completely against something like the AUMF, for instance.
Yeah, like you're against the consolidation of power into the executive office, essentially.
Very much, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Especially when it comes to what's interesting here is that we want to enforce more legislation when it comes to withdrawing troops, but when it comes to an executive order to strike, we're okay with that.
Yeah. Well, they said that they were trying to pass legislation. Before they were saying they were trying to pass legislation to disallow Trump from declaring war or surging troops, which I think was okay.
There was some of that. And yeah, I was for that. And a lot of that was Adam Schiff was behind that.
But that's where the problem starts. Exactly.
That's where the problem starts because it was just political theater on his part. He didn't really think, I don't want a president overstepping their boundaries when it comes to international conflict. He didn't give a hoot about that.
With Obama doing that, Obama was
no problem.
He loved doing it.
His thing was Trump's bad. and I'm going to do whatever I can to score political points. Adam Schiff, and I live near Adam Schiff's district. That guy wanted to be in show business so bad. It's not funny. He couldn't make it, so he's a politician. So he's really enjoying his 15 minutes in the spotlight going, hey, Trump's bad and I'm the resistance. It's a joke. It's a sham. He abandoned those pieces of policy he was behind, even though they were good things. Even though his intention wasn't, hey, this is a good thing because it prevents an overreach of power when it comes to war. He said, this is a good thing because Trump's bad, which I agree. Trump is bad. I don't like Trump, but I also know Trump derangement syndrome when I see it. I also know Trump denial syndrome when I see it too, by the way.
Yeah.
Both of them are very real. And I see both of them on a daily basis.
Yeah. Like with the idea that he's creating more jobs, even though like literally once they passed the tax bill, a shitload of jobs just went down the drain. You like that? But what I was going to say was on my analytical hat, this is a bullshit bill. Like this, think about it. This is the quote from Duckworth. U.S. troops are not bargaining chips to be offered up in an offhanded manner. What this is, it seems like they read a poll says how many people like Kim Jong-un as a leader, and it's like, of course, most of the country agreed or disagreed with the idea that they liked him. They said they don't like him, so they're like, okay, that means we can use this to drive the recent numbers that show that his approval rating has gone up by passing a bill that just diametrically opposes everything he's trying to do, and because God forbid you just say, hey, can we just have peace? There's no bill that's been introduced recently by the Dems that say, let's stop bombing Yemen, but hey, let's stop peace in the Korean Peninsula. And to say that like U.S. troops are not bargaining chips, it's like they're saying that we don't want to be involved unnecessarily or militarily in a situation that we can really only serve to escalate at this point.
Right. What you have to ask yourself, then, why are you still there?
God, you don't want my answer to that.
Well, no, I mean, I know that's a very long answer, and of course it's rhetorical, but it comes down to, okay, if you had these talks and if de-escalation is a good thing, which it is, then why would you want to? I mean, it's fair for other people to want to be involved in the process. That's fine. I mean, I don't think Trump could handle something like that on his own, quite frankly. I don't know any president that could. So there's still going to be other players involved. So, yeah, it seems like this is just sort of, like you said, just sort of like a PR check.
Yeah. You know what the problems are in this country? Everybody's put all their faith, in parties, obviously, but also people. Like individual people, like one person is individually greater and is uncorruptible or really infallible than the next person. And if they would start putting their faith more so in objective integrity and analysis and really just progress, then we wouldn't have so much of the derangement that we're seeing. And I truly believe it's like this part of this conditioning that we've been taught, right? Like the idea that a blue uniform exempts you from being held accountable for your actions when you kill somebody for pulling out their cell phone in their own yard. Like, yeah, but they're police officers. Well, shouldn't they be held to higher standards when you're in a position of authority?
They have a hard job. They have a hard job.
Well, like, like the whole idea that they get killed. Like there was a stat that came out a year ago that said over 4 years, 17 cops have been killed in traffic stops, and it wasn't routine. They were like pulling over felons, like people who had known gun charges and things like that. The job is indeed dangerous, but these are patrolmen. These are SWAT team members. Okay, when you're a SWAT team, you're prepared to deal with a SWAT teams. Like you're gonna like. Actually, I don't know when SWAT teams are really used other than in Miami nowadays, like other than for drug busts. But like that's a different situation where you want to be as prepared as humanly possible.
Well, it's one of those things we don't recognize it as a systemic problem. Yes, it's a dangerous job, and quite frankly, it's a very weird job when you break it down. It's one of those things where there's a systemic issue going on and
it's profit driven. Once you have an industry that's profit driven, it's over. Like it's corrupted.
Well, yeah, we have a demand for prisoners. So, and you have quotas on Clinton tickets and stuff like that. So it creates all these cyclical problems, and there's a serious disconnect as to how these officers are being recruited, how they're being trained, how they're being screened.
Yeah. Fun fact, by the way, there was never a chief of police until Teddy Roosevelt got rid of the state militias, because police officers had to answer to the ranks. That's why they use the same ranks as military now, is because they were required to answer to the highest ranking, like militia members, because they were the ones who were really in charge of holding people accountable in individual states. And then Teddy Roosevelt got rid of that the same year that he brought in the Federal Reserve. He broke, remember how Teddy Roosevelt's known for consolidating power into the executive office? That was like the deploying of troops at his discretion is one of those things. And in order to do that, he had to break down the militias.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. That was a clip from Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means I log on to a stream and people tweet me articles over on Twitter at Ron Placone, or they use our Reddit subsection, which is just Get Your News On with Ron over on Reddit. And that's how we build the show. I'm seeing all these articles for the first time. We are literally getting our news on together. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone so you can participate. And this show streams live every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please do tune in. If you want to support this show, you can do so over on patreon.com/Ron Placone, where for as low as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts every week, exclusive videos, free tickets to shows when I'm performing in your town, and more for as low as $1 a month. Please do consider it. Thank you so much for your support. This has been Get Your News On with Ron.